think we're now live.
Yes. Okay. Evening
Hello.
all. We'll just wait a few more minutes to give people time to get on. And yes, so Debs, do you know what the weather's going to be like for this weekend?
I don't actually. I'm hoping it's going to still be quite nice and sunny. May not be as warm as kind of, I think, last year's bank holiday, but hopefully it should be all right. Just because we're building an office, so I'm hoping.
It always helps.
We don't need rain. We don't want any more rain. I think it's rained enough anyway. So.
And if it does rain, it's your fault.
Of course, always is. Yes, and hopefully it won't, but we shall. But it's suddenly got overcast, so I don't know what it's playing at the moment. But
okay.
Who knows?
My husband and I love the bank holiday weekends because this is the first full year we've spent here together, and we have no idea when they're coming. So it's sort of like I'll book things and people say, "Oh no, that's a bank holiday."
Yeah, have a day off just for the sake of it.
That's it. I know Australia do love our long weekends as well. It's a thing, any opportunity to have a long weekend and a barbecue.
Sounds great. Yes. Not sure whether it might be barbecue weather. Who knows? I think if I say it, then it probably won't be. But yeah, it might be barbecue weather. But probably not Australian barbecue weather.
No. Here it reaches double figures and everyone says, "Oh, let's have a barbecue."
Yes, I did actually have one on Easter Saturday, just because we just had our delivery of our new barbecue, thinking, oh, everyone can come round. But I did sit outside in my coat and in my hat and my scarf, and I was freezing. But I'm British, and I said I had one, so sort of.
And I am acclimatizing, as you know. The other weekend, yes. I went and met up with family, and we were planned a picnic, and it rained, and we were still having our picnic. Thank you very much, because we've been waiting since Christmas for that picnic. So
yeah, you're getting your stickers, your stamps. So yes,
that's it. Okay, well, we might make a start now just to get things moving along. So welcome, everybody. My name's Nadine Garland, and I am the Support Services Manager at NRAS. I've been there just over a year. I started working the week before lockdown, and so I had to learn an awful lot since in that time and from home. So this evening we're here to talk about another arm of NRAS, which is JIA at NRAS. So and I've got here Debbie Wilson is my co-host tonight, and she can introduce herself a little bit later. But yes, so I have been living with rheumatoid arthritis myself for 33 years. I was only 19 when I was first diagnosed, and have since been told that I probably had it as a child. So it was sort of that in-between time of JIA and RA. So luckily I was diagnosed with RA, and it made my life a lot easier because I didn't have to convince everybody else what was going on. But the NRAS, or the National Rheumatoid Arthritis Society, was founded in 2001 by our amazing founder, Elsa Bosworth. And so we are coming up to our 20th anniversary. It was founded to offer support, information, and advocacy for those living with RA. It is the only patient-led RA charity in the UK, of which we are very proud. Now, in 2012, NRAS conducted a review of JIA and JIA services across the UK with a view to being able to start to provide a much more comprehensive service for families and young people affected by JIA. In 2004, JIA at NRAS was launched as a result of the findings from this review, which is basically that we could do a lot more for people with JIA and their families. Now, it's important to be clear to anyone affected by JIA that JIA and RA are not the same. They're both inflammatory forms of arthritis, but they differ in many ways. And also importantly, JIA does not become RA after the age of 16. Sometimes it can be relabeled as inflammatory arthritis by doctors, and that's mostly to give more access to medications. So because NRAS understands the complexity of JIA and that you don't magically stop having JIA once you turn 16, we understand that people of all ages need to have their voices heard regarding JIA. We also know that a diagnosis of JIA and RA at an early age impacts on not just the person diagnosed, but families, friends, school, study and career options. So in May 2020, NRAS recruited young people with JIA and RA for a special advisory board to help take forward a new service framework for JIA and young people that is with both RA and JIA. One of the first projects was to put together a job specification for a new young person's project coordinator. They were part of the interview process, and we've been so lucky to have brought on board Debbie Wilson at the end of September 2020. She's already achieved so much, and we have so many plans in the works. We thought we'd take this opportunity to let everyone know what's happened and what is happening. So over to you, Debbie.
Well, thank you very much, Nadine. Just so you know, it was in 2014 that JIA NRAS became. But yeah, just a brief background on me. I have lived with JIA for over 30 years. I was diagnosed when I was about 8 years old, but I was never given any medication or treatment. They just told me literally just to get on with it. Which I did. It was very hard being a teenager at this point, and then having it spread to many joints in many of my knees, both my hips and in both my wrists as well. Going around sort of has to be on crutches, which isn't great when your knees are bad, because then putting the weight on your wrists is even worse. So it's kind of, it was a vicious circle. I never really had support at schools or anything, and it wasn't until that I went to university that I spoke to kind of my year tutor, and she was amazing. She really helped me turn my life around. I was on the verge of quitting university and just had enough of it all, but she kind of really sort of sat me down. I then had some mental health sort of interventions, and it really did help me actually go, I can get through this. And I did, and I got a very successful degree out of that. And then I went and became a statistician and researcher for the government. So I then I have 2 children. And it's actually a few years ago that my daughter got diagnosed with JIA. And being now a parent of a child with it, it's very different to actually having it yourself, because you know what they're sort of going through, the pains and everything, and you just wish there was a magic wand that you could just take the pain and the swelling and everything away. But thankfully the medications have advanced so much that actually once you get the diagnosis and you start the medication, it really does help. And the outcomes for children now are so much better than they were when I was diagnosed, because even then no one ever told me that can affect your eyes. And 5 years ago I got diagnosed with scleritis, which is the swelling on the white of your eye, because I have JIA. And it was that was a big shock, and thinking I could go blind because of this. Thankfully I haven't, and my vision is fine, but still the pain can be unbelievably excruciating.
I was once told, oh well, you got this 20 years too early, because if you'd got it 20 years later, then the medications that were available would have been so much different and formed such a different outcome.
Yes, yeah, I must admit I wish I was kind of on the treatment I'm on now all that time ago. But
ditto.
Yes, but unfortunately, things do happen, and now children with JIA have so much, as I say, better outcome, and they really shouldn't have the damage and everything that I sort of have. And so so for biologics, the main difference between sort of RA and JIA is that for JIA, children can actually get better access to the biologic treatments. They can mainly not sort of fail, but not do so well on the methotrexate, and then they can go on to biologics, which is much better because they know the outcome is so much better. So that's me. Both me and my daughter are on biosimilars, and at the moment they're working seems to be working really well. And it was a major achievement a couple of weeks ago, and my daughter did her first injection.
Very exciting.
It was a massive hurdle for her to get over. We were so proud of her, considering she'd never even touched them, never even get them out the fridge or anything. So yes, it was a massive hurdle, and she did her second one last night. So it's
well done. So it wasn't just a one-off.
It wasn't just a one-off. No, she videoed herself as well doing it as well to kind of show everyone's like.
She really must be very proud of it.
I am, yes, so proud of her. So anyone sort of listening and your child's really not getting it, they can get there, and they will. Just don't push them too much, is what my advice would be, because otherwise they can then rebel against it. But just, baby steps, small steps at a time.
Yeah.
So,
I remember years ago back in Australia, I used to be the youth coordinator for Arthritis New South Wales, and I ran camps. And there was one girl who was actually one of the oldest girls, and she would still come and say, "Can you give me my methotrexate injection?" And then when she left school and basically had to do it on her own, she said to me, "Why didn't you tell me it was so easy?" I think I might have mentioned that 1 or 2 times, but you were not ready. And so, yeah, it is about, finding when they are ready to do it for themselves.
Yeah, oh, completely, yes. Yeah, but no, very, very proud mum here. So yes. So as Nadine says, I then started in NRAS last September. So it's been a very busy 7 months.
Really. Absolutely.
Yes, because I do work with the Young Voices panel that Nadine mentioned, and they are, huge shout out to them. They're an amazing group of young children. Well, not, I think they're children, but they're not really. They're young adults. But let's just show my age. But yeah, they're really proud to be working with them. And we are taking forward the service framework, sort of the JIA side and the young people side as well. So to kind of give you a quick update on what we've sort of been doing over the last 7 months, if you sign up on the website, you can get quarterly e-newsletters, updates all about the JIA, which have been going out since, I think the first one went out in December. So we're kind of keeping them up to date as well. So if sometimes they might go into your junk email, so just check them occasionally. Back in March, it was actually very good timing, just after the lockdown had eased. We did a Zoom event for parents, and it was called Coping with JIA During COVID-19. I know, obviously, being a parent myself with a daughter with JIA and the medications they were on, it was very an anxious time about, sending them back, with obviously sort of COVID still going around, and obviously it still is now. But it was actually reassuring. We had a really good paediatric rheumatologist, Nick Wilkinson from the Evelina Hospital, who explained it in such an amazing way, the immune system and how the medications work, that actually it is okay for your children to be in school with JIA and obviously with COVID going on. Children, even if they are on kind of steroids and immunosuppressants, they are so unlikely to get very ill with COVID at all, and even children very unlikely to even get COVID or even suffer badly with it. So it's those with JIA and the medications you're on. So it kind of really did sort of ease the parents' minds, and we ended with some of the Young Voices panel being there, and it was a really lovely way to end it, showing these parents that obviously, however anxious or frightened of your children's future was, that having these young voices there were actually amazing to say, look, yeah, we've been through the tough times, but this is how well you can be, and it was really, really grateful to them. And then in April,
the young voices, we originally, when we were sort of talking about, they want to talk about living with arthritis, and they came up with the quote that they wanted to be thriving with arthritis.
Yes, I think it was a bit of an eye-opener. I've heard at their first meeting, because I wasn't employed then, but yeah, they'd never really sort of heard that sort of phrase before. But yeah, you can. And I kind of think maybe one advantage of having it diagnosis when you are a child is that children adapt very easily, and they're very resilient, and they're like, okay, I can get on with this. And they really do show us as parents that actually the anxiety and everything is mainly sometimes with the parents, and the children can pick that up. So it's kind of sometimes it's just nice to hear from young adults that have been there and done it and actually say, no, we can thrive with it, and we are very proud to be, as well. So that was that one. And then we had another event in April specifically for young adults, which covered exercise, self-management techniques, going to university. Had a lovely talk from Izzy, who's down in Plymouth Uni, and how her university have been so supportive and how she's actually managed to do an amazing degree, and she's kind of, yeah, a very inspirational young lady as well. And again, we had time for young people just to kind of have a chat with the Young Voices panel as well, kind of on an even playing field. So that was a really good conversation, and the whole evening seemed to flow really well. So that's kind of what we've sort of been doing, and other sort of work that's hopefully coming out very soon, and I'm very excited about this one, is we have our new medicines in JIA booklet. We have one for RA, but as I said, sometimes the medications are different for JIA. Clinical trials and all new drugs get approved for adults. They then have to kind of go through different trials in order to be approved for children. So generally there is more sort of drugs on the market for RA. So it's kind of explaining from the beginning, basically from diagnosis, what you can expect as a parent and a child as well through the whole journey of what is JIA. You know, unfortunately with JIA and sort of RA as well, we have the diseases up and down, we have the flares, we have the good days and we have the bad days, but it's trying to not to panic about the bad days and giving you hints and tips to actually kind of, okay, how can we get through this, and how can we, you know, really thrive with sort of, with the good days. So that's kind of coming out very soon. We've had a focus group which started back in December. We had the focus group there. We've had healthcare professionals involved as well from the start. So it is it's a really good and I'm very proud of this piece of work coming out soon. So keep an eye on our website and our social media for this, and then when you would like to order one, you can then order it through the JIA website, which you'll be able to download or get a hard copy of as well. So we can send them out to you hot off the press as well. So yes, so we've got that launching soon.
The ice cream man's just come and there's lots of kids making noises outside. So
okay, that's why you're on mute. Fair enough. That was just me. But yeah, something else that we've got coming very soon also is our new JIA digital membership. We have lots of benefits for that. You have a JIA digital magazine, which is specifically covering all things JIA. I do actually have this is our special edition. I've printed it off, but this is kind of what it looks like. And it covers everything sort of to do with, as I say, JIA, different articles in there. And you're more than welcome to send us an article in your story if you would like to go in there. You know, sometimes hearing and reading other people's stories can really help and support other people as well. So, you know, please do get in touch with us if you have a really good story to tell. And also with the magazine, there'll be, I think, twice a year, the magazines. You'll get monthly e-newsletters straight to your inbox. And we're having a closed members Facebook group, and through that we're having 4 live sessions or events specifically for members, and we're going to cover some different topics. I think one of them is with physio, how to make physiotherapy fun. One kind of from a sort of pharmaceuticals person to kind of talk about the medications in more detail, and off the top of my head I can't remember what the other ones are, but hopefully it will be a really good offering for you. And we're going to have a JIA members event as well. We have an NRAS members event, but this would be specifically for those impacted with a JIA. So whether it's families, children, young people, or like myself, an adult with JIA, it will be, yeah, a lovely event at some point. It will probably be 2022, I think. But yes, I think 2021 is it's flying past. I don't know how you feel, but it kind of doesn't even seem like nearly June.
I know. I was speaking to someone the other day and I realized I hadn't spoken to them this year, and we're almost halfway through the year.
Yes, it is crazy. It really is.
And there's an awful lot of things that are going on, not just with the JIA at NRAS, but also at NRAS as a whole. And one of those things that we have learnt over the last 12 months is that we really do need to meet up with other people living with JIA and RA, but we don't actually necessarily need to do that face to face. And that's opened up a whole new world for us, because then that means that we can start interest groups. And so that's the other thing that Deb's been working really, really hard on, is our online groups. So can you tell us a little bit about those?
Yeah, sure. Well, as you said, with Zoom and things like that, we don't have any sort of geographical barriers anymore. And it is so important to kind of talk with people that are going through similar things to you. And so we've set up a new sort of part of our sort of new digital strategy. And the new groups are, there's a JIA parents group, and we're actually having our first meeting on the 7th of June at 7 p.m. They're going to be monthly, and sometimes we're going to kind of have kind of like a family event as well for children to kind of, even though we can't really sort of meet face to face still, but even over Zoom, we can kind of get some young children kind of talking with other young children, obviously with their parents, and that around on Zoom. And if you'd like to be part of that group, there's a new email set up. It's called JIA Parents at nras.org.uk. So that's jiaparents@nras.org.uk. If you send us an email, and we can kind of send you then the details about the group. And it'd be lovely to see as many as possible, even over Zoom. But that's how I've met most of my NRAS colleagues, so it's all fine. I've got used to this.
Finally got to meet us all last week, and it was like, okay, I'll go home now.
It was
prefer you with the soft filters.
Yeah. It was very, very strange, I must admit, just seeing people just in 3D. It was quite strange, because I was shielding, this time last year. So yeah, it's the kind of biggest thing we've had for a while. But no, it was lovely.
I find a lot of it is, you're a lot shorter than I would have thought you are, because you only see certain part of them.
Yes, yeah, completely. But yes, but no, that was lovely. Other groups that we sort of in the process of setting up is parents with inflammatory arthritis, whether that's RA or like myself with JIA, because obviously being a parent and having the disease yourself, you have your own kind of issues and kind of things that some other parents don't get. So that's kind of be a good group to kind of have a chat. And again, there'll be topics as well that we can cover. And there's exercise and wellbeing group, and there's also a young people group, which is I think 18 to 35-year-olds. We've got 2 lovely volunteers taking that on as well. So kind of I think those other 3 groups, apart from the JIA parents one, are going to, I think, be launched at the end of June. So again, keep an eye out on our website and our social media for that. And again, if you're interested, please do contact either myself or Nadine, and we can kind of give you the details on where to look.
And I can't tell you how much that sort of group is of benefit. When I started working with Arthritis New South Wales, there wasn't what we ended up, or it started off being young people with arthritis. And then when we reached the upper limit of 35, we then changed the name to working aged people with RA. So this is a group that's I first sort of got going in 2003. And I have to say that there are still at least 10 people from that group that I am in contact with on a weekly basis, and we've been to weddings and to had them have children, and now they're all growing up, and and a couple children performed at my wedding because they've been such a part of our life. So these groups are just so good to how did you deal with this in your workplace, or how did you tell your new partner about having RA, and all those things, and having people to explain it. One in the group had been dating a guy for about 6 months and couldn't tell him, and so brought him to the group, and we told him. And yes, so it's makes a huge difference to your life, just being able to talk to other people about the issues that you face. You manage them on your own, of course you do. And we don't, I mean, we shy away from the word support groups because to a lot of people that brings about the idea of tea and sympathy. But Debs and I have discussed this at length, and that's exactly what it is a group that supports you in living your best life.
Oh, completely. Yeah, give advice, and hints and tips, because I would have so loved something like that when I was, going through, the young people aged between 18, because, you go through university or you start your employment, you move, you move out and things like that. So there's so many other things going on. And the last thing on your mind is trying to control, a disease that, then how do you talk to employers? I've been quite open about it, but I know some people aren't, and it is so hard. How do you start up that conversation, because generally we look fine, we don't look ill, which obviously everyone always tells us anyway, but sometimes obviously the fatigue and things like other things that go along with this illness, no one else picks up apart from some you or someone very close to you. So then sometimes trying to go into work and you just feel, or even getting out of bed can be so hard. It's like the last thing you then want to do is then have a full day's work, but it's kind of like, right, okay, you've got to, but it's just getting the understanding and for me, it's just getting the conversations going out there, really. And I kind of think it would be very important to have another thing that I would like is a page on kind of one of our websites for about young people, to kind of let you know what support there is at universities and where you need to look, and also sort of employment as well. We do have booklets, and I think it's called employment booklet, or I want to work, I think is
the Employer's Guide and
right.
I Want to Work.
Yeah.
And so they're quite useful if you can't find the words to explain it to your managers. Then having the booklet for them to read is also very useful. So whilst it is aimed at people with RA, it's still quite useful for people with JIA or young adults with JIA to show their employers how it affects the way you work and some of the modifications that might be needed to be made.
Yeah, and I kind of think they also sort of cover some of the rights and everything as well. Not that we like the word disability, but it is your disability rights, really, so they get covered as well. So so the new groups are really exciting. They are a part of our new digital strategy, and I think it would be an amazing way to kind of get people in our sort of communities to kind of really engage with each other, and there might be sometimes the exercise of wellbeing one might do something with the young people as well. There's lots of collaborative work that sort of can go on between the groups. You're not just separated out. You can kind of work together with all of them. So I know we've had some questions, but the one thing I just do want to cover, and then we will cover questions afterwards, is our Wear Purple week.
Yes, because somebody's just their comment was, I think a session on mental health would be useful for young people, especially around disease and medication. So yes, your wish is our command.
Yes, well, there's two things on mental health that I can pick up from on that. But going back to Wear Purple, we know that it's been such a tough year for everyone and children with JIA. And when I started in September, we just had the RAW week, the RA Awareness Week. And I then thought, well, can't we have a JIA week? So here we are. We now have a Wear Purple, it's hashtag Wear Purple for JIA Wellbeing Week. Similar to sort of the RA week, we kind of wanted to have sort of the mental health theme throughout, and each day I'm running sessions, wellbeing sessions for children with JIA. We've actually got 3 of them being run by people with either RA or JIA. The first one we have is an art class by Nancy, who was diagnosed back in September last year with JIA, and she's just done her GCSEs. So fingers crossed, hope everything went well for you, Nancy. She's an amazing artist, and she's just done an article for us in our latest members magazine, and she is just fantastic. So it's kind of going back to basics with her. These classes, they're all free and they're half an hour long. There's Tuesday when we have a yoga therapy. It's being hosted by Lindsay Knight, our ambassador. She's like me, the only one that I've ever known. She has adult JIA. She got diagnosed as a child, and she also has a daughter with JIA. Don't panic that we don't really know about the genetic links or anything, but just yes, I think it is quite rare. But anyway, yeah, so she's doing a yoga therapy, completely kind of stretching, helping strengthen muscles, and sort of I think sort of relaxation sort of type thing as well, to kind of really sort of loosen your mind. So that's on the Tuesday. On the Wednesday, we have, it's called the Happy Human Project. They are it's a local company to me. I'm in Hertfordshire. And they specialise in children's mental health, and they actually used to do adult classes, and I actually went along, and they were just amazing. They are really, really good to kind of give you tips on how to kind of just lose focus with your mind, take it elsewhere, the bit of escapism that we kind of need. And she's an amazing teacher, and actually my youngest daughter used to go to that, and she used to kind of repeat all the classes to me afterwards, the kind of relaxation and kind of the positive affirmations as well, which as children really do need. I'm useless at compliments, and I hate them, but children do need to hear, and they need to kind of also that positivity in themselves as well, to kind of actually help empower them, and to kind of get talking about actually how they're feeling, because that can be very tough for children. So it's kind of just getting those sort of feelings going, and that's a 45-minute class. On the Thursday, we have Ellie Farr, who's actually part of our Young Voices panel. She's doing a photography class. She's a professional photographer, and children, I never had this access, but near enough every child now has access to a camera on a mobile phone. Even my children can't believe that when I was young there was no mobile phones. They're like, well, how did you contact people? It's like, well, we had this big phone in the hall where you had to sit. And they're like, what? And there was no camera on it at all, so they just don't understand that at all. So
they do not.
No, so we've got the lovely Ellie doing a class on us there. And then lastly, on the Friday, we have a great dance teacher who's going to do, I think, street dance and a bit of pop, hip hop, and she's lovely. Amy, she runs the Rickmansworth Razzmatazz. She's been my daughter's dance teacher for about 9 years, I think, and she's lovely. So she understands JIA, and it's just be a lovely way to celebrate Wear Purple Week. And along with all of those sessions, we're running Facebook Live sessions on the Monday to Thursday. We're having specialist nurse discussions, ones with adults with JIA, one with parents panel, and the last one is a few children asking healthcare professional questions. I think it's so important, but even though I must admit I do this myself, if a doctor asks you a question, you generally say, I'm fine. And you're really not, but that is your automatic thing. And it's kind of trying to tell children that actually healthcare professionals, they're human, and you need to have a good rapport with them. I think that's very important, and for children to be empowered to actually talk to them is great, because we never get taught actually how to talk to a doctor. We get taught to, in schools with teachers, we have to we feel we have to impress them, and then we feel we have to impress adults. With doctors, you don't have to impress them. Obviously they'd love to hear, your really good stories, but they just want to hear actually, how are you feeling? How are your joints? Has this impacted on school?
And that's one of the things that Lizzie McPhee brought up in last night's chat with Claire, who's a rheumatologist, and they were talking about the vaccines and things, and about how services had changed in that a lot of appointments are held over phone or over video. And one of the things that she said is that she'd been speaking to these people, had a few phone calls, and they're going, yeah, I'm doing really well. And then they finally came into a face-to-face, and they could barely walk. And she says, but you've been saying you're fine. And they went, oh, but I didn't want to disturb you. It's their job.
Yes.
That's why they're there. And it doesn't matter
Completely.
how good your doctor is, they're not psychic. They need to know what's going on with you, and not just about the the JIA and the medications. They want to know about how that impacts on your life and how they might be able to help you. So, but they can't help you if they don't know what's going on.
Oh, completely. Yes, it is very important to talk to, your doctors. Yeah, not just, your joints, but also, your mental health as well. I think one of the questions is, about mental health, and actually we do know that having a sort of life or long-term health condition really does impact on your mental health. And actually one thing that we are actually taking forward, we're working collaboratively with other charities, is looking at kind of the provision of mental health services actually in paediatric rheumatology units at the moment. And it's something, obviously it can't be a short-term fix, but hopefully, longer term, we can kind of get more mental health services in paediatric rheumatology units. So we're actually going to be sending out a questionnaire very soon to all, people impacted with JIA. So if you can, fill that in. And if you then kind of wanted to be more involved in that campaign, please do let us know. But I think we'll probably do another Facebook Live with a lot more details when we're sort of more launching it. But just to be aware again on social media that a questionnaire will be going out specifically covering children's mental health and young people's mental health, and obviously adults' mental health with JIA as well. Because it would have been amazing for me to have had something like that when I was growing up, maybe not when I was diagnosed, but then, when you're flaring, when you just, you just had enough of kind of trying to cope with it every single day. It is very tough. And I think, the conversations that are continuing in kind of sort of getting awareness out there, but it can be very hard for children still to kind of really explain what's going on. So I think it will be, extremely useful. So again, that's something that is in our plans. And yeah, we'll be working with other charities on that as well. So I think going back just to Wear Purple, just on our social media, we actually have a Instagram giveaway. It's an offer at the moment. So please go to our Instagram account, and I think it's on Facebook as well. So, just like and share, I think is the thing. But
As much as possible.
Yes, please.
I've just learnt today how to share on Instagram. I need to go back to make sure it works.
I think you did. I did check. So yeah.
So if you need instructions or anything on that, again, feel free to contact NRAS and we can give you any assistance on the technical side. Now, you aren't aware of the fact that we have got the very talented Anita who is with us tonight behind the scenes and making sure this is all running smoothly and pushing through the questions. So she's been a bit of a guru for me. If I don't know how to do something, it's Anita. So I'm sure she'll be happy to help anybody else with their social media as well.
Yes, I must admit, I had, I think it was Saturday night, quite late. I had one of the young voices messaged me saying, Debs, you need to learn Instagram. I was like, I do. It's 10:30 at night, though. I don't understand. This is just showing my age. I can do Facebook and Twitter, no problem. But she was like, I can tutor you, and I think you might have to. Yes, it's kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think also Wear Purple wise, we do have our fundraising packs, which are still available to order. We have some merchandise still, and actually I keep playing with these in all my meetings. It's a stress toy. It's one of these, and they are really, really good for strengthening your hands and all the muscles in your wrists. And they're really good size, I must admit, because I've got quite small hands, but these are actually really good. And actually through all meetings, my colleagues don't know, but I just do that every day, just stress them, and it's really good to kind of keep the muscles and everything going, especially working from home, and especially when kids have been at home on computers or just writing all day. These things can really help, and they really are good, because I didn't realize when I had really bad JIA in both my wrists as a child, the one thing that I did was actually learn the piano, and I didn't realize that actually that was probably the best exercise I could have had. So looking back now, I don't know how I did it, because obviously excruciating painful, but but I did it. And so, yeah, that's kind of looking back, you don't realize that actually how things can really do help you, and kind of obviously all physical exercise and that as well, which is it's tough. I did an assembly last week to a school, and trying to explain to children that actually we generally love doing exercise, but sometimes it's even just getting out of bed to do it, you feel your joints are so stiff, and that's the last thing you want to do, but you know it will help you. So it's just kind of getting over that mental hurdle to go, right, this will really help, and then getting out there, just even if it's just a 5-minute walk, or just, you know, up and down the stairs a bit, just to kind of loosen the stiffness and kind of just really do sort of try to strengthen the muscles, which really can help strengthen the joints. So
and then you have less pain. And then also, if you are doing aerobic exercise, you get the endorphins, which are the best pain medication that you can't buy. So it's yeah, it's really positive. And the thing is, with the Wear Purple Week, we want to build on the people that have worked so hard at NRAS before us, doing raising awareness and funds for Wear Purple Week, and it's been so successful for so many years. So we just wanted to build on that and give back to the people that we serve. So I'm really looking forward to it. And knowing how it's going to be, I've also booked the week after off.
oh, have you? I was going to do that. Damn.
So okay, you can too.
I've got too many meetings. I'm actually going to a mental. It's weird. I'm going to my first conference for many years, face to face in London. It's all about children's mental health. So I'll be there campaigning and shouting for JIA at NRAS, saying, you know, all the good things that we want to come of it. And obviously, if there's anything useful from there, I will let everyone else know. So yeah, so that's kind of be my big first event, I think, this year in person. Be quite. I'll have my JIA NRAS mask on though. I will have my, because the NRAS one's a bit big, but the JIA one fits perfectly, and I love it. So, yeah.
Yes, and doesn't fog up the glasses. Now, we had a question very early on, and I know you may have some answers to this because you were on a call, and that is about the vaccines for the COVID vaccines for 16-year-olds. And so we've had ours as our carers, but not sure how effective it is. Son turned 16 in a few weeks. He's on methotrexate, Humira, and mycophenolate. So they were asking about that and the Indian variant. So I know you were on was it a EULA or a BSR call the other day when they were talking about this?
Yeah, I was on both. Yeah, for the 16-year-old, I know Pfizer have been approved for 16 and 17-year-olds. The AstraZeneca one and the Moderna one haven't, so it's only the Pfizer one. I would contact your GP about that, about whether, obviously now, because assuming, you know, last year they probably might well have been sort of in the shielding and then sort of the vulnerable group. So I'll speak to either the GP or the rheumatologist about that, because I think it was the 3rd or 5th or 6th, I can't remember the groups of the vaccines, but it was for the 16 to 65-year-olds. So there have actually been some of the young voices who are in the 16, 17-year-old age group, and they have had their vaccine. So just check with the rheumatologist. But again, children, even though the medications they are on, they are generally so unlikely to get COVID, and even if they do, they're very unlikely to get ill with it. So
I was on a call to the vaccines minister last week, and he reiterated the same thing. And we had, it was a shielding coalition. So we had people representing from all services that represent people that have been on the shielding list. And the Cancer Council was most interested in, you know, children younger than 16. And basically the health minister said the risk to children under the age of 16, irrespective of being on immune modulation medications, is very low. It's negligible in terms of, you know, what, of people getting ill with it. So they're going to maintain that. And as Debbie said, speak to your GP or rheumatologist, because there may well be some case-by-case questions around that.
Yeah,
the Indian variant, again, that's a in progress. So basically it's a bit of a wait and see, and nobody really knows about that.
Yeah, because kind of the way sort of Nick Wilkinson explained kind of how the medications work, because I know sort of the methotrexate, and they also sort of they're toxic and everything. It's just, and they generally, apart from mainly sort of steroids that do kind of generally suppress the immune system, these sort of Humira and the other one, they generally just sort of tap the immune system to kind of get it to work properly, because it's behaving badly. So they're not sort of suppressing it as much, they're just kind of nudging it to kind of say, actually do this, don't do that, just work better, sort of thing, that way. So
behave yourself.
Yeah, so that's kind of it put my mind at rest, and actually I could sort of visualize that. So kind of, yes, I know he's on sort of quite a few sort of medications, but they're generally just nudging it and not fully suppressing it, so he will, you know, hopefully be okay. But yeah, speak to the rheumatologist or the GP on that one. And for children under 16, there are clinical trials ongoing. We haven't had any results from any of them yet. I think in America it has been the Pfizer one has been approved for 12 to 15-year-olds, but that's in America, not in the UK. As yet, the trials are still ongoing, and as I say, we haven't got any results as yet. As soon as we know, we will let you know as well. So I know that obviously, I think there was talk in the past about getting them trying to be vaccinated before September, but again, nothing has been clarified on that. The results aren't in. You know, we will let you know as soon as we know.
And we've had one, thank you very much, from Fraz. We are very impressed with what we're doing too. I think Debs has just done an amazing amount, and you know, that's why I sort of wanted to go ahead with this tonight, because we had one last night as well. But I just wanted everyone to see what a fabulous job she's doing to move things forward, and how we're all getting on board and really excited by it. But the last...
Yes, like London buses, two come along at once.
That's it. That's it. So we've one last question from Anne, who was diagnosed at 13 in 1979. It was, and yes, JIA was known as Still's disease then, and that's before they understood that there were many different forms of JIA. It was also then known as juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And yes, a lot of people then did switch over to being labelled as RA as an adult. Yeah, so I was, it was 87 when I was first diagnosed, and it was still...
I was 88. A year in it.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's... it's come a long way, their understanding. And some people, in many ways, Still's disease is slightly different from the polyarticular JAA, because there's a lot of fevers and illness that went along with that. So people with Still's disease were very, very unwell as well. And a lot of the kids that used to come to my camps had been, or particularly a bit older, had been diagnosed with Still's disease and had spent a lot of their childhood in hospital because doctors just didn't know what was going on. And like we said, having things change so rapidly, it means that, you know, medications, or in the last 10 years, there's been so much more available. And that's what Debbie was saying before about the reason that we want to continue it still being diagnosed as adult JIA is that availability and accessibility to the medications. So a lot of the time, if you're reassessed as having RA, then you then have to go and fail on methotrexate and another DMARD before you're allowed the biologics. So there was sort of a lot of grey area, and that's why it's very rare that people have a diagnosis of Still's disease now. But I did actually speak to somebody the other day, and he was told He was 21 and was told that diagnosed with an adult onset Still's disease. And that was only last year. So that interested me, and I went, well, you're going to have to talk to your rheumatologist about that one, because that's above and beyond my knowledge.
Yes, because I know when I was actually diagnosed, it was called juvenile chronic arthritis in the UK then. So then, yeah, then it then got changed to, they looked obviously into the different types. It was then JIA, but then it can then get just relabeled as inflammatory arthritis as you're an adult, but I'm still diagnosed as juvenile arthritis, idiopathic arthritis. So yes.
Okay, well, I think that's us, unless there's any more questions.
Yeah, I don't know. That seems to be coming along at the moment, but Anita's behind the scenes. She just says nope. So yeah, so obviously, please call our helpline as well if there are any, questions or advice that you would like. And Nadine, you know the number, don't you?
Yes, just one moment. Sorry.
Sorry about that. Put you on the spot.
You did put me on the spot. How dare you? Yes, just give me 2 seconds and I will get it up.
Cool. But if not, you can email Nadine and myself. My email is debbiew, because there's 2 Debbies at NRAS. So it's debbiew@nras.org.uk, and Nadine's is nadine@nras.org.uk, and we'll be very pleased to kind of let you know any information that we've discussed today, where you can find our publications, and if there's any our new publication, our Medicines in JIA booklet coming out soon. If you can't find it on the website, which by this point you will be able to, but please just send us an email. And there's also JIA@nras.org.uk emails as well. The helpline number, Nadine, no prompting, is
thank you very much for stalling. Sorry.
That's fine. Still not got it. If not, I've probably got it here. It's in these are the 2 books.
No, okay. So 0800 298 7650.
Yeah. Cool. Excellent. Yeah, these are just our other booklets, by the way. And and also you can Wear Purple, which I forgot to mention, there is a downloadable letter that you can take to your schools. Maybe you could do a non-uniform day, which I'm hoping my daughter's schools are going to do. And we have quiz, so you can kind of do a quiz with your family. I think there's an adult one and a child's one as well. There's a certificate to download once you've done your fundraising, or or just made, more importantly, awareness about JIA as well. I actually spoke to a local journalist today about that. And there's also this, which I actually spent time doing last night. I'm quite proud of that. It's Bonnie the dog colouring page. You can download that again from our website. So it's also good exercise for your children, or just very therapeutic for you to do of an evening, which I did last night.
And if you want to do anything to raise money and awareness, any cake sales, any go for a group walk, anything that you want to do to raise money, please contact us, and we'd be more than happy to support you in any fundraising that you want to do, because we need to get it out there and people to understand that JIA actually happens in children.
Yes, completely. Myself and actually our Ambassador Lindsay, we are going to be doing a 10K London 3-park challenge. We're walking because with our joints we can't really run too far, but it's still a challenge for us. So if you see random people in purple, with probably headstone purple, walking through Hyde Park, Green Park and St James's Park, it's us, and we can always give you our Just Giving fundraising page as well. So we'll be doing that and trying to talk to as many Londoners as possible, socially distancing, to let them know that children do get arthritis, but more importantly, there is support and advice for families and all those impacted at JIA at NRAS.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
Okay. Good night.
Okay. Have a good evening, one and all.